Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we're on a mission. The show is broadcast live from the illustrious Radio 1 studio. Good morning and welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we're here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not here to save your soul. We're here to save your business, save your job, and possibly save the community. I've been at this now for 15 years, and we're on a mission. So if you have a business or if you're aspiring to be a business owner and you find yourself at a crossroads and not sure which way to turn, this is the place to come to. And it's probably more important now than ever before, because of some of the challenges and things we're seeing in the marketplace. A lot of uncertainty. And these are times you need to draw on your community and your inner strength. Changing that mindset to be more independent and community focused. And that's some of the signature platforms of the Marketing Pulpit Show. I am Robert Gatewood. I have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web. I'm a business developer by trade. I'm also a marketing consultant. I'm a professor at the Prince George's Community College, where I teach marketing and networking and digital marketing, social media strategies. I have written a couple of books, one called Played in Full, one called Smarter Than the Boss. I work in the government space as a contractor for the Small Business Administration. And I've been out here for a minute. So welcome to the show. Got an exciting show today. We're going to talk about DEI. And what's all the fuss about DEI? Is DEI the latest boogeyman? Or is DEI deserving of much of the malignment that it has received? We're going to talk about that. So we have an interesting show today. It's cold in the DC area and it's cold across the country. I think a couple of shows ago we talked about fire and ice, how we have fire on one side of the country over in California, Los Angeles area, and we have this ice, uncharacteristic ice, over in the southeast or the southern part of the country, where traditionally we don't have snowing in Florida, Texas, places like that. But we don't usually see snow and ice. These are different times. So there's also cause for us to have different approaches. We also did a show about how old keys don't open new doors. Well, we have some new doors in front of us, and we're going to have to get some new keys, because some of these old keys that we've been using just not going to open the doors for us anymore. So that's why we're going to talk about these things on the show. Like I said, we're going to talk about DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And why all this talk about it suddenly? Is it coinciding with certain things? I'm going to try to talk about this in a non-political, non-partisan basis, because I'm not here to argue with anybody about whether it's right or wrong. I just want to deliver the facts. I know sometimes facts don't matter as much as they used to, but truth seekers and truth tellers, we're not dissuaded by those who refuse to hear and accept the truth. So we're going to talk about that. So welcome everybody, and thank you for joining the show. Good morning to Brother Gerald Brown. Thank you for joining us this morning. He's one of the greatest plumbers in town, and he's also a very ardent listener of the show. I have had a exciting past week. This past week I was in North Carolina. We were celebrating the Martin Luther King birthday celebrations, and brothers and I did a performance. Also, I was on a panel with the Sisters of 85 Beta. They did a leadership panel, and it was broadcast across the country. And so I've been working with them now for several years. We talked about leadership and some of the what it takes to be a good leader, things like emotional intelligence and self-awareness and fearlessness and transparency, communication, integrity, all those good things. Great panel, had a great panel of people from the sorority. So I was glad to be a part of that. Also, this on Tuesday of this week, for one of the many hats that I wear, I'm also the producer of the Produce Justice Show, counter racist show with Mr. Neely Fuller. Mr. Fuller is a author. He's written a book. I think he's written several books about how racism has permeated our society, and he's written a code book to combat it and to offset it. And so he does a weekly show on Blog Talk. He's been doing it for the past 5 years, and I produced the show. And the show sounded off this past Tuesday for the final time. Mr. Fuller, there's no secret, his family has announced that he has experienced some health challenges. And so it coincided that Blog Talk, which is a popular platform that many people use to broadcast their information, their podcasts and things like that, it's going off the air forever. Matter of fact, tomorrow, on January 25th, there will be no more Blog Talk. So if you haven't been reading those memos, and if your screen goes black tomorrow, if you've been broadcasting your podcast or your show on Blog Talk, it will cease to be effective tomorrow. So coinciding with that, we decided to finalize the counter racist show with Mr. Fuller. So that show is final. Had a great show on Tuesday. I mean, people were calling in from California, New York, Houston, Canada, all across the globe, because Mr. Fuller has that type of impact. And you can listen to the show by going to marketingpulpit.com. We have it on our homepage of the website. I'm sorry, it's on the website on Facebook. But you can get to the website by going to Facebook. It's also on producejustice.com and on their YouTube channel, Produce Justice. Mr. Fuller's an amazing individual. One of his signature quotes is about, if you don't understand racism and how it works, then you're not going to understand anything. So you have to understand everything else is going to confuse you if you don't understand that, how it works. He also is a big proponent of justice. He believes that everybody should be treated fairly. And to end injustice, we have to treat everyone fairly and make sure that those that need help the most get the most help. So Mr. Fuller is recovering. I know we have some followers that listen to this show, and he'll be back. We hope he'll be back. But anyway, you can get that show. It's a commemoration show, has some of his clips and so forth. So hold 1 second, one moment. I am back. So that's going on. Another thing, I want to dedicate this show to another one of our fallen leaders. Over the years, we have been a meeting place to mourn many of the people that have impacted our lives. And the next person, I am saddened and shocked that she is no longer with us. And that's none other than Dr. Renee Allen. I'm going to dedicate this show to her today. In this Washington, D.C. area, it's sort of a small circle. And certain people you're in the same circle with. You may not know them intimately or personally, or you haven't been to their houses or kissed their babies, but you know them because you run in the same circles. You know the same people they know. You do some of the same things that they do. And sometimes you're chased by some of the same demons that have chased them. Dr. Allen passed away recently. Hold one second. I'm something in my throat. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry. Let me get it together this morning. Anyway, Dr. Allen, she's originally from New York, and she was known as Dr. Renee Starlin Allen. And the reason I knew her because several years ago, one of my co-hosts, Elena Seven, brought her on the Marketing Pulpit show, where she was a guest. And from that point on, we knew of each other. We became distant friends. She was also a member of the Sisters for Sisters network, where Miss Peggy Morris is the founder. And so we all kind of ran, we're constantly bumping into each other. You see people like that, you're always bumping into them. That's when you know they're good people. Because every time you see them, you're doing good things. And if you're a good person, and every time you see them, they're doing good things, you figure they must be good people by association. She also was in the Navy, decorated veteran. And she became known in the Washington, DMV area. She was a great commentator. She was a great MC. Many of the most highly acclaimed events in the area were MC'd and hosted by Dr. Allen. She had her own radio show called the Renee Allen Show. And she was just a powerhouse, just a good person. I remember there's a photo I discovered, took many years ago. I was over at the Economic Development Council in Prince George's area. And Dr. George Fraser was the guest speaker. And I ran into one of my friends, Peggy Morris, the founder of Sisters for Sisters. Of course, Dr. Allen was a member also. And so I was, Peggy Morris and I were taking a picture. And Dr. Allen was over in the corner. I saw her. She said, "Hold on, wait." And she ran up and behind the picture and hooked her chin over my shoulder. And it's one of the most tragic photos I've had over years of Dr. Allen, Peggy Morris, and myself. And you can see that on Marketing Pulpit. Just a great individual. And she will be missed. So I'm going to dedicate this show to Dr. Renee Allen. You will be sorely missed. Wow, man, we just keep losing the good ones. Also, this weekend coming up, I'm going to have another birthday. These things keep coming. My goodness. So on the 26th, I'll be celebrating my birthday again. And so on my birthday, I always have this poem I read every year. That's what I do. I tell people not to do the traditional things for my birthday. I give them instructions on what I would like for them to do instead. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read this little poem. It's not a poem. It's a little, I guess what we call a message. I call it Happy Birthday to Me. So if you're not sure what to do for me on my birthday, I'm going to make it easy for you. Hold off on the fancy cars and the soap on the rope and the brute cologne, the gratuitous quote, the memes. You can keep all of that. Instead, you can do the following for me. It's an acronym that spells out birthday. I wrote this thing about 10 years ago, and I've been reading it on my birthday ever since. Do this for me on my birthday. I'm going to go down this acronym. And the B, each letter represents a new action I'd like you to take. The B is for be bold. Stop playing it safe. Don't fear failure, fear stagnation instead. On this leadership council meeting that I was on this past week, they asked what was some of the signature qualities of a leader. And I said, fearlessness. Some of the people I've admired the most over the years, like Brother Dick Gregory and Joe Madison, these people are fearless. So you have to be bold. I'm asking you, as we enter this new era, for my birthday, I want you to be bold. And for the I in birthday, I want you to inspire, encourage others, Be their cheerleader and help shield them from the forces of negativity. That's my I, B-I in the birthday. For the R in birthday, I want you to resist. Resist the forces of evil, bigotry, division, hatred, wherever it raises its ugly head. Sharpen your sword, polish your shield, and join the battle. Resist. That's what I are in birthday. And for the T, I want you to think. Don't follow the crowd, regardless of your view. If you find yourself in the crowd, go around it, tunnel under it, soar above it. And if necessary, give it a moment to pass. Because what we have right now, a society where people are just following others, no matter how wrong they are. You can walk beside somebody that you agree with. You can walk on the left, you can walk on the right. But don't be one of these mindless followers. I want you to think. Think, people. You can do that for me on my birthday. And for the Asian birthday, I want you to hold on. Yes, times are going to get tough. You're going to get tired. Sometimes you're going to feel like the battle is lost. But hold on to your beliefs. Hold on to the thought and knowledge that you're doing what's right, because sometimes that's what it's going to take to get you through. So hold on. That's for the H in my birthday. Then for the D in birthday, I want you to dream. Think big. Create something that's never been built before. Do something that's never been done. Know that possibilities are infinite. You can do that for the D in birthday. And for the A, I want you to act. I want you to do something. Do it today. Don't be a procrastinator, perfectionist. An imperfect mile on time is better than a perfect inch that's late. Act. Do something. We have enough talkers. We have enough bloggers, influencers. People sit around and posting all day. Yeah, that's good too if you have a big group and you want to motivate people. But at some point, you got to get out and do something. You got to roll up your sleeve, take off the jacket, and do something. Act. And the Y in birthday is to yearn. Yearn for something that's greater and bigger. That's something you can accomplish alone. If you can do it by yourself, you've probably set the bar too low. Yearn to change the world for a better place. Then go out and find the pieces and the people to make it into a reality. That's what you can do for me on my birthday. Robert Gatewood, copyright. All right. Good morning, Brother Thomas. Brother Bradley Thomas, one of my favorite people. As I was speaking about Dr. Allen a few minutes ago, I'm reminded that some people, you're close to them from a distance, not because you necessarily, like I said, they chums, they BFFs, because you're in the same circles. You know the same people. You do some of the same things. You have the same mindset. And sometimes you chase by some of the same demons. When I say the same demons, sometimes I think about things like afflictions and malignancies, cancer, and things like that. Many of us are part of that same club. And we share a closeness because some things you just need to be around people or at least know they exist to encourage you to go on. So that's why I say sleep on, Sister Dr. Renee Allen. You fought the good fight. It's up to us now to pick up the torch and carry on. All right, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. We come back, we're going to talk about DEI. And is DEI the new boogeyman? Or is DEI deserving of some of the alignment that it has received? And I'm going to try to approach this from a non-partisan, non-political angle. So don't you go anywhere. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, and we'll be back after this quick break. All right, we're back. Welcome. This is the Marketing Pulpit, and thank you for the birthday wishes, Attorney Thomas. Appreciate that. We're going to talk about DEI. Man, have we been hearing about DEI? Man, you think DEI was out here killing people in the streets? It's been so demonized and maligned. But is it? Is it worthy of it? Is it deserving of it? Is it this? Should we get rid of it? Is it causing pain and suffering? Is it dividing the nation? What is this DEI? Well, for starters, let's talk about what it is. It stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's an acronym. It has its roots back to the 1960s and 1970s, and its intent was to dismantle some of the barriers that allow everyone to have equal opportunity in the workplace and other institutions. People of certain genders and races and sexual orientations and other characteristics were being left out, and they were not able to equally participate in the American dream. Over the years, other causes have come to the fore, has been highlighted. I remember during the George Floyd incident a few years ago, DEI came front and center. Many companies were reaching out, they were falling all over each other to create DEI programs. But it was back in the 60s when it first got its start. Now, the intended beneficiaries of DEI, you would think it was just made for Black people alone, but it was actually for all racial and ethnic minorities, women, LGBTQ, people with disabilities, veterans, and individuals from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So the DEI, the intended people, it was a broad brush, included quite a few people. And how DEI works, the diversity part comes in by saying, let's go out and try to recruit from a wider pool of people. That we acknowledge that there is a dearth or not an equal representation of the population in certain industries, certain jobs, certain institutions. So the diversity means let's make an effort to go out and find the people. Maybe we have made the barriers too high. And maybe we're not looking in the right places. So let's go out and see if we can find out why and bring more people into the pool. The equity part is about eliminating those barriers that are keeping people out. It's about creating fair opportunities, eliminating policies and practices, and sometimes it's implicit bias that's keeping people out. It's not intentional because that's just the way it's been all these years. That's the equity part. And then the inclusion is about creating an environment where people are different, what we call different, where they feel welcome. So if you're a woman, you want to feel like the bathrooms are equal, you have equal access to something as simple as going to the bathroom as a man. paid leave when you're pregnant. So DEI is to address the fact that we're not all the same, and that there are certain groups that have had an upper hand, whether they were deserving of it or not. So DEI was intended to address these inequities. What it was not meant to do is to push forward people who are unqualified. That's a myth. Now, how does this D&I work? Well, generally there's some type of training and education programs, usually for the staff. There's a review of the policies to make sure that there are things that are not in place, that are unfairly punishing or disallowing certain groups. Generally, there's some type of mentorship programs or sponsorship opportunities, employee resource groups, and regular assessments to monitor the diversity metrics. That's how DEI usually works from a logistical standpoint. Now, the pros of DEI are many. Perspective, enhanced creativity and innovation. There's actually a better decision-making process when you have a broad range of perspectives in people. There's better employee engagement when people feel that they are included. All people, not just the ones at the top, because the ones at the top often have a similar demographic. There's also a market competitiveness. People that are diverse are better equipped to understand and serve the markets that they serve. And of course, DEI is better at retaining talent. Now, of course, there's a lot of resistance and pushback on DEI. And I'll tell you, if DEI was the demon that many people have painted it out to be, heck, I'd be against it too. But much of that talk is politics. It's innuendo. It's demonization of something that has good intent. And you find the one exception and you blow it up and you start labeling people. People who are extremely qualified because they meet a certain characteristic or demographic, you label them a DEI employee. DEI has become the new slur. It has been maligned, unfairly so. Could it be improved? Everything can be improved. Now, certain people feel that DEI has kept them out of jobs. Some people feel like it's putting forth people who are unqualified. But much of that is rhetoric. Much of that talk is just really meant to divide us. If DEI was all the things that I've heard about in the last few weeks, I said, who in the world would want that? But that it is not. Maybe it could be improved. Maybe there should be some type of commission to say, let's look at the aims of DEI. And what can we do to improve it, to make sure that people who feel left out or marginalized or have been denied opportunity, make sure that they are included as well. Should we scrap it? I'm not in favor of that. I'm really not. Let's talk about now. The people that are hell-bent against DEI, they're not really studying the data. They're not looking at the positive sides. They're not looking at the benefits. They're really just they're listening to the politics of it. And like I said, I was going to try to do this without being political. And so if I am, I mean, you may just slap me back in place. I'm just trying to state the facts. But what DEI actually does, it broadens the talent pool. It does not mean hiring unqualified individuals. That is political rhetoric. It only seeks to ensure that all qualified individuals have the same opportunity and not just certain groups of people. A research report from McKinsey and Company indicated that companies with higher racial and ethnic diversity are 35% more likely to outperform their peers financially. So it's not just about inclusion, but it's also about adding value. Now, there is efforts in these DEI programs to ensure that they're based on merit. That's another misnomer, another myth out here, that it has nothing to do with merit. It has absolutely to do with merit, to make sure that the people who are most qualified are the ones who are chosen, and not the opposite of what we've been hearing. It also addresses implicit bias. That means people who are not intentionally biased, but sometimes things is baked into the cake. And we have to train people to realize that maybe if you grew up in a certain part of town or a certain state or a certain county, things were a certain way. You weren't out to harm anybody. You weren't out to discriminate against anyone. But because of implicit bias, sometimes we do it unintentionally. And DEI helps us identify and correct that. Now, DEI also addresses historical inequities. We can't pretend that everybody started from the same starting block. Certain people got a head start. And it's almost impossible to correct that without some type of remedial action. Now, of course, you're the person with a head start. Of course, you want to stay out front. That's understandable. That's human nature. But what about the people who are behind? The handicapped person, the person of the low socioeconomic background, descendants of slavery. Do you think they can really catch up with the big head start? The uphill battle they have to climb? Is that realistic? Of course, some people are going to say, well, that was in the past. Nothing is happening right now. Everybody has an equal opportunity. I wish that were so. If that was so, I'd be the first cheerleader to say, hey, let's go. The playing field is level. Let's fight it out. And I must tell you this, I'm making these points today, not for me personally. I'm doing okay. I'm going to do okay. I came from a background, my dad was a sharecropper. I picked cotton. My dad instilled in me that can-do attitude. You can't depend on other people. But everybody didn't have that. So I'm an advocate for everybody who advocates for equality and justice. Now, one of the advantages and pros of these DEI programs that are generally systems in place to monitor performance, tracking, and metrics. But people don't want to talk about that. All they want to talk about is, oh, you're pumping up these unqualified candidates. See, it's a lot easier to demonize it and destroy it if that's the narrative, but that's not the reality. And studies have shown that underrepresented groups who are hired through DEI initiatives typically perform on par with their peers and experience career growth, dispelling the notion that they are less qualified. But that would be too much information. We don't want to deal with facts, okay? So, DEI has become the new boogeyman. It's being dismantled in the government, in corporate America, across the land. Now, maybe I'm trying to find a silver lining in this cloud. It gets hard sometimes, but I'm an optimist and I believe in mindset that this gives us an opportunity to go back to our strengths, start our own businesses, support our own businesses, support businesses that support our community, and keep improving. Be the best at what you do. Go back to school, get that qualification, get that certification, get that education. Go to those workshops. Get in industries that are growing. I want you to be the best. Of course, D&I was meant to correct past inequities. It was meant to give everyone an equal opportunity. That is all it is for. It is not to put unqualified people up front. That is political rhetoric. That is talk that's meant to divide us. I want the most qualified person working for me. But I want to evaluate everybody. I don't want to just pull from one pool. I want to pull from a diverse pool so that everyone has an equal opportunity. That means sometimes you win it, sometimes you don't. But at least you are in the pool from which the selections were made. That's all it's about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you today for tuning in. Thank you, Brother Thomas, for your feedback. Once again, I had not planned to do a live show today. It's so hard when so much is happening. We need information. I think it was one of the slogans over at Radio 1 with Dr. Kathy Hughes, where I first came across that statement. Information is power, but you have to act on it. And so as we go out here and we deal with these issues of DEI and some of the civil rights programs that are being dismantled, let's marshal our forces. Let's stay positive. Let's work harder. Let's become smarter. Don't let anybody convince you that because you have a position, you're less than. When I came out of college many years ago, there were a lot of affirmative action programs in place. Many of us came out and we benefited from it. And I'll tell you, I would be the first to say when I became a buyer, I was the youngest person on the floor. I knew. Nobody came out and told me, but I felt that I was the benefactor of some of those that had gone before me to fight to make sure that I had an equal opportunity. I was one of the rising stars in the company. Not one day was I less than or less qualified than. I was grateful for the opportunity. I grabbed that opportunity. And I have helped others to ensure that they have equal access to the opportunities in this bountiful land of ours that we call the United States of America. Join me. Let's not push unqualified people. Let's just make sure everybody has an equal access to the pie. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up. I'm Robert Gatewood. I'll be here next week on the Marketing Pulpit Radio Show. Thank you again. Once again, our prayers go out to the family and friends and network of Dr. Renee Allen. And we'll be back next week. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. And these things are hard. If you want to be successful, you have to do these 3 things. Do the right thing. Do it at the right time. And you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.